He was the first Canadian to command the International Space Station and use social media to capture the attention of people around the world.
Now, back on Earth and sharing his experience in his book called An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth, What Going to Space Taught Me About Ingenuity, Determination, and Being Prepared for Anything. Joining us now is best-selling author, astronaut, and YouTube extraordinaire, which is where I first saw him, Commander Chris Hadfield. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to be with you.
We're so glad to have you here. So, of course, so few people get the chance to go to space, but you, when you were 9 years old, started with this idea of seeing Neil Armstrong. What was that like, seeing that at that time and coming up with the decision to go there?
It was an interesting moment because it turned the impossible into possible. Something that morning had been never happened in history, had been impossible by definition, by bedtime. That was a possible thing, and for a 9-year-old kid to see impossible things come true was like an invitation through a door.
Did you know in that moment?
I decided that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Decided to turn and the key, of course, is then what are you going to turn yourself into? Not just what do you dream about, but what do you actually do about it? And so, 26 years later, I flew a space shuttle.
Wow, incredible. So it's such a very small club, those of you who have been to space.
Yes.
So for us, Earthlings, can you describe it? What is it like?
It's two big differences than sitting here in the studio. One is you're weightless, which is, it's like magic to be able to fly and do 1,000 somersaults if you feel like it. It's just, it's like having a superpower. And the other is, every time you drift by a window, the world is pouring by at 5 miles a second, 17,500 miles an hour. You cross the U.S. in 9 minutes from coast to coast. So seeing the whole world, seeing the whole world, you go around the world in an hour and a half, and every time you come around, the world turns underneath you. So you get to know the whole planet, like you know the triangle.
But
here.
Going that quickly, do you actually see anything?
Oh yeah, you're 300 miles up, so you see the whole thing, but it's hard to keep up mentally, or it's really hard to keep up sort of emotionally with the speed with which you're seeing the world. But living 5 months in orbit, it really eventually seeps into you. You really get to understand the whole planet.
I read that you were afraid of heights. Is that true?
I think everybody should be afraid of heights. You're not afraid of heights, you're not thinking.
Astronaut.
Well, but see, there's a huge difference between fear and danger. I'm afraid of falling and hitting the ground. So I say I'm afraid of heights. I'm really not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling and hitting the ground. So if I know I can't fall and hit the ground, then you don't need to be afraid of heights. And I think that's how we ride rocket ships, but it's also kind of how to deal with everything.
You're putting out a music album.
I am, yeah. I recorded, I've been a musician my whole life, and I wrote and recorded a whole suite of music up on the space station, and our profits will go to a charity. Do you sing, play
instruments, or what's your forte?
I sing and play guitar.
And you did so much of that on YouTube when I was watching with you playing guitar, like in space and all that stuff.
Yeah, one of the videos I made from the space station has been seen 25 million times.
Wow.
So yeah, I sing and play guitar, and I wrote a whole suite of music, and we'll release it, I think, in August or September, which is kind of a nice project.
What an interesting life you have. Thank you so much for dropping by to chat with us.
Thanks very much, Lise.
The book is called An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth.